It has been a very long time, and I'm not sure how many of my videos recently have started with that. Well, none, because there haven't been any recent videos. It has been 50 plus days since I have set foot on social media, which was a very intentional decision on my part when we realized that there was a weird fatigue happening while going through this pandemic. And I think I'm ready to be back and to I want to, talk to you guys about how I've been coping with the pandemic as a semi-extroverted person. I'm kind of like just diving right into it here. But once the pandemic hit and certain things became harder to get a hold of, I think people started realizing, one, I should hang on to what I have because I might not be able to get more of it. But two, just really assessing what do I need in my day-to-day life here on my compound, in your home, your apartment, your property, to be content. And we found that the longer that we quarantined, the longer that we stayed at home, the more at ease we felt. It's funny, I was feeling a similar feeling that I felt with my stuff when I first started decluttering years ago. And it was this feeling of suffocation, of overwhelm, of scattered thoughts, of just feeling like I didn't belong in my own space. And, I didn't belong in the world that I had created. And what happened when the quarantine started back in March is that we started with a, let's stay at home, let's quarantine ourselves, we'll get through this, it'll be over before you know it. And as the more time went, we realized, for one, we were so full of information about what was going on, so full of worry about what we didn't know, about what we couldn't control. And that started creating this weird mental overload, which was just suffocating. And, it made it hard to string together thoughts, even just on a day-to-day basis for ourselves. And that for me, sorry, I'm watching my chickens go running off. Anyway, for me, that feeling of suffocation meant that I needed to step away from social media. I needed to step away from the source of the suffocation. And since you can't really declutter social media, not really, we just kind of turned it off. And that same went for browsing, for news sources. I mean, everything. We just turned it off and we turned into our own world here. And, I guess I'd call it my compound because that's kind of how I feel about it. It's my sanctuary. It's my place. And it's the one place in the world that I have control over. So for this video, I just want to show you the world that we've been living in while the chaos exists out there. This is the serenity that I've made in here. I do think it's normal to worry. It's like we've never been through this kind of thing. We as people don't know anyone who's been through a pandemic. But there comes a time when you realize that this thing that we speak of is so totally and completely out of our control. You just have to step away. So that's what we've been doing. We needed to rethink what was normal, to rededicate our mental energy towards things we can control, to find beauty in our world. We needed to immerse ourselves in projects that fulfill. Because if the world as we know it came to an end, what do you actually want to be doing? I'm not saying we need to stop working, but we do need to prioritize living. The last 4 months, we've left home maybe a handful of times, mostly to pick up groceries and sometimes just to drive. We've gone on a lot of walks. When you have your own business, you don't collect unemployment. And when there's a pandemic, no one travels. And when no one travels, places like ours sit empty, at least for a while. So we hoped for the best, and when business was low, we just worked with what we had. We built structures, made new friends, and watched them grow. Found adventure. Discovered new places. Some days were quiet, others not so much. Then, business started picking up, and before we knew it, life continued. But somehow we were different. And we realized, for the first time since this whole mess started, back to normal just isn't a place we want to go anymore.
Eat your models.
Where have you been?